matters. Lagos State places fresh ban on Okada and Keke. Of course, we recall that in January of 2020, the Lagos State government attempted a major clampdown on the menace of commercial motorcycles and tricycles called Keke Napep by restricting their operations in some local council development areas and major highways in the state. Well, that clampdown really didn't work because, I mean, every day the blatant disobedience of those people stares us all in the face. You don't know who to blame. Is it the Okada or the tricycle riders? Or is it the government you blame for not enforcing the same laws that they put in place? But anyways, the Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladende, has given out some statistics in the state regarding accidents related to motorcycles. In his disclosure, he said the state recorded 600 deaths, in 10,000 accidents involving commercial motorcycles between 2015 and February of 2020. Now, according to the commissioner, it is worrisome to note that between this period to the commencement of restrictions of the movement of the tricycles and Okadas, 600 deaths were recorded. These figures are no doubt those recorded at public hospitals if thorough census is taken from both for public and private hospitals, including the number of deaths and accidents in 2021 as well. The statistics will be quite frightening. The commissioner went on to say, we have noted with dismay the fact that Okada riders are disregarding and flouting the restrictions we imposed on their activities in certain areas of the metropolis. We've also observed with dismay the ongoing violent confrontation by commercial motorcycles against our law enforcement agencies. Governor Sanwo-Olu acknowledged the dire situation before announcing the intention of the government to ban them outrightly. All right, now to cut this very long story short, this very week, starting from today, there is fresh ban on Okadas and tricycles in Lagos State again. According to the Lagos State government.
The Lagos State government is more or less, if you like, sounding like a broken record. This is not the first, second, third, fifth time that they are banning these motorcyclists and tricyclists. The government lacks the political will to actually enforce these bans. Truth of the matter is that the reasons that have been adduced for their ban are very germane, and so people welcome the fact that they should be banned, But government has been inconsistent, even beginning from the era of Governor Ahmed Tinubu to the time of Fashola, and so on and so forth, up to this present governor now. When there's time for election, they relax and they allow it, to fester. And after election, 1-2 years after election, maximum 2 years after election, they come up with the story of ban on and all that. So the inconsistency of policy, the lack of political will to implement and enforce the law is what is at the bane of this success of the ban on these cyclists and tricyclists. What they must do is to insist, particularly set up your task force, empower them, and then whatever and it can fund itself, because the motorcycles can be confiscated, you pay a fine and all that. So what they are doing so far is like hey, and then they relax, and then the people break the law again. I don't want to hear. You were asking who is to blame now. Is it the people or the government?
The riders.
It's not the riders. That's why there is a law. It's like saying who is to blame now? Is it the armed robber or the police? Armed robbers will always want to go and commit their crime, but it is now your duty as a law enforcement to enforce the law, else it will continue. That's the challenge we have.
But Lagos State already has this task force that arrest the riders, from time to time. And I'm thinking,
no, they are different from.
Do you think? Can I finish my question?
Please, yeah.
Do you think the population of Lagos makes it difficult, really, for government to be able to enforce their laws?
No, it's not the population. It's not the population. It's the willpower, the political will to actually do it. I was trying to say that the task force that they have, they call it environmental. This one that deals with those who sell on the street.
No, they have another task force.
Yeah, but they're not.
Okada riders.
Yeah, but they're not feasible. They're not very feasible. They're visible rather. What they do is to, and the only place you see them is just on Agege Motor Road by Ikeja along. That's not the only place that these people operate. They operate in all places. So what they must insist, and when you take the motorcycles, if you want to crush them, crush them. Yes, crush them. You see, before they want to go and spend money, think of spending money to go and buy another motorcycle, they will think twice. But when you are doing that, and this was what the late Babidela Aturu did, that his argument then was, if you ban these people, you are taking them off from a source of income.
Of livelihood.
However dangerous the source of livelihood is. So what is the alternative? So government must now, provide, viable alternative for these people to thrive in whatever they want to do. So is it, what kind of credit scheme do you want to give them to go into business, or some other things, instead of just allowing them to, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I understand you, but I don't know how that will work.
No, but the truth of the matter is that there's no job. That's why that's the easiest thing. So anybody comes, So what is the job opportunity for them when you drive them away? That's the argument.
Exactly. The argument will continue to be when you take the bikes away. What will the riders do for livelihood? Also, there's that fear of young men who are bike or tricycle riders resorting to crime when they don't have any other thing to do.
But they are being banned because they are using the bike to commit crime. Isn't it?
The crime can be committed without the bike.
Patience. We in this country we love to treat issues on the skin, and when the pain is in the brain, you come to the skin and rub, and you feel a bit of relief, and over a period of time you have the pains in the brain aggravated and becomes a major crisis. You see, we love deceiving ourselves. The features, the characteristics of the developing countries is Okada. One of those characteristics is Okada. You can't run away from it. A government cannot always ban something they don't have alternative to. They don't. Mention you yourself, on the way you'll be causing government if you don't have a car when you are going home. Because at the end of the day, when they close, the bus that we have left, the buses that we have left cannot conveniently convey everyone to their destination. And how Lagos is structured. So when I hear mega city, I laugh. We lack everything that makes a city a mega city. We lacked it. If a state wants to ban Okada, you don't need to wait until the U.S. Embassy complained, wrote a letter. What you need to do is gradually, today, nobody waited to ban Molwe. I have never seen where they banned Molwe since I came to Lagos in 1999. There was no government proclamation that Molwe is banned. But have you ever entered Molwe again? Can you wait for Molwe again to enter? Because there is a provision made, gradual, planned provision made by the government to exterminate Molwe.
To phase them out.
That is what you need to do. What do you need to do? We know that in Ikeja, when you stop you at for my
Ikeja long.
Let's say for Ikeja long, and your office is where maybe somewhere in Toyin Street.
Your Allen.
Toyin Street. No, Allen is Toyin Street. And you don't have buses that will convey you from there, small to Toyin Street. You're going to obviously trek. By the time you get to the office, you are exhausted. And what are you going to do? Causing government from that place until you get to your office. And you are planning again to trek back. So Okada become a convenience vessel for them to move around. So what is government doing is that at the end of the day, they said, oh, they have bought some last mile buses. No, we don't do that. You don't pronounce that you are bought when you are banning in the same way. You are going to create panic. What do you need to do? Okay.
They operate side by side.
The US embassy, we have had you. We are going to monitor these guys. Okay. See they all have what is it called? Leaders in their all parts. They all have. You can talk to them. You can. The government cannot sufficiently regulate these guys if their members are not, and that's why all the what do they call them danfo, they don't misbehave, because if you go to the attack and complain, they are in deep shit. Do you understand? So what do we need to do as a country? Let us always take a proactive actions. Please, Mr. Governor, it's not what is it called? At the end of the day, you see people in the evening when police has retired or they are not too much on the road. The task force, as they were, they will still come out and use the same bike. At the end of the day, you see people gradually returning. That's what happened. You remember when they banned the bike here? Yeah. You saw a whole ton of bikes. Okay, some of these bikes come through the ports, and you clear it, and you say you don't want bike in your state. You clear it. The moment Lagos says they don't want bike, Ogun State will say we don't want bike. Ondo State will say we don't want bike. At the end of the day, that bandwagon will just fizzle out. Bike will come back again. Some people they used bike to steal my phone yesterday. Then government say, okay, ban the motorcycle. Okay. These guys go back.
Can we talk more realistically now? Let's look at Lagos as a city, as a state, the way Lagos is structured. I'm talking about the ease of you as a resident in Lagos going and coming every day. Most people know the dangers of taking an Okada, but sometimes because of traffic, that remains your only alternative to quickly get out of that situation and get where you're going, or make sure you don't miss out on an appointment or something. How can the government actually create an alternative for something Lagos is known very much for, which is traffic? When you remove Okada, how do you, I'm trying to frame my question so you understand what I'm trying to say clearly. What can really take the place of Okada in Lagos?
Yeah, something
and function the same way the Okada functions that makes it appealing to Lagos?
It is. Go to Ikeja, you find out that nobody's patronizing Okada anymore. Do you know why?
Because they have those shuttles.
Yes, this Korokwe is a very working system. It's a working system. It applies all the streets. Now, do you know that in this your place that this TV station is, Korokwe cannot access it? It cannot. And that's where the problem is. The estate has its own government that says we don't want Korokwe. And every morning when I'm coming here, your staff who do not have cars and people that are working here are trekking this hill every morning. That's so painful. You can't be a Vatican in Nigeria. There's no Vatican in Nigeria. You can't create your own government here. So that system works. If that system works, the government can also copy. That's a private sector-led system. Now we are talking about the larger system now. The government can copy it. For me, this thing can work. The only way it can work is that government should not always announce an alternative when they are banning something. That is my own concern. If the government in a way begin to send this thing in, people begin to enjoy Korokwe.
I'm baffled. Sorry, Mr. Sang, I'm baffled. How do you ban something you've already banned? How do you ban again?
That's inconsistency on the part of government. Now, these smaller buses that they call Korokwe, what government can actually do, as you're banning that, before you did the ban thing, you could have provided more of this. Now, it's easy for government to actually give out support schemes to the people because of this BVN thing, which means that you can be found out. If you default here, you can't actually go there. And so if you now say you're flooding the streets with these smaller buses and then giving it out by way of empowering these people, not free of charge, and they pay back installmentally, and then you can also encourage some of these banks or microfinance banks to give out support thing to this, because it's not very expensive. I think it's 1.2 a bit 2 million, I don't know. So they can actually empower these people. So as you're leaving your Okada business, you're migrating into a much safer smaller bus scheme, so that which will now, people are safe, You've lost your Okada, but you've actually gotten something that would, you know, give you more money and secure you as it were. So government has a role to play, and then they must encourage, like I said, these microfinance banks, and then give them some tax credits to be able to carry out this scheme. Otherwise, it's easier to buy a motorcycle, 200,000 or 180,000 naira, you're back on the street again, and then begin to hustle. That cannot be the case.
And you know, again, I don't know what can really take the place of Okada in Lagos in terms of navigating traffic.
No, but
if you know what I'm asking.
Yeah, but for the inner roads, like in Egbeda, in Agege, you know, in Ikorodu, you can encourage that, because the roads there, those are interiors, but not on the expressway where vehicles do 120 kilometers per hour. And you see one funny Okada, you know, that's dangerous. You know, but for the inner roads, yes, you can use them and all that, but not on the major roads. And I think that's what government had done. But they must develop the political will to actually do this. Mark you, as 2023 approaches, by December 2022, they will relax again. Okada no, it will be more now. They will even buy it for them and say they are empowering them.
Okay. Anyway, still on the Okada ban in Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State has inaugurated the first and last mile buses, which will ply the routes the motorcycles are plying. In addition, those who have taken up Okada riding for lack of jobs are advised to grab the opportunities in agriculture, wealth creation, poverty alleviation, and other government programs. All right, the question still remains. Means of livelihood, and I'm talking about something feasible, something tangible, that this young men who have taken to riding Okadas, you know, some of them are graduates. I had an interaction with one of them recently, and he was telling me he's an artist, he sings and all that, and he was complaining a lot about how the police harasses Okada riders on the way. And I'm like, why are you riding an Okada? And he said, this is the only thing that I found to do, and since I've been riding Okada, I can actually pay for my music career. I pay for studio sessions, and he just shot a video, you understand? And he told me about 3 different times he's been harassed by the police. The first time they broke his arm, the second time they pushed him to the ground, he had a cracked skull. The third time they took his motorcycle, but he's back on the road still again with the motorcycle. That question remains. What do you have for these people to do? Because they don't see it like they are breaking the law or they are committing a crime. They see it like they are hustling. They are providing, you know, income for themselves and feeding their families. When government is telling you to take opportunities in agriculture, in wealth creation, in poverty, we all know all this exists more on paper than in reality.
Yes,
taking into consideration the Nigerian system.
Especially when I came to Lagos, I always refer to that. Okada was not an attraction at all. You know, I remember
for you,
for a lot of people,
for a lot of people,
for a lot of people then, because there were textile companies. If you go to industrial estate, Keke industrial estate, you can hardly hear. There was generator everywhere, massive genset, that people were making clothes. There were like about 4 or 5 what is it called, textile companies. And when they close in the evening, you could see amount of people trekking back to their destination. Now, when you want to go to places like Fagba, okay, as at that point from Agege, Okada was not an attraction, and you see that Okada man would wait and take 2 people. Now, there were no plenty Okada that you could afford to take one.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people that are riding Okada today were busy working in those factories. Now, if you make a textile industry viable today, obviously you are going to have shortage of Okada riding the roads. If you provide jobs opportunity for people,
provide
job opportunity for people as a government. Let me just say, government cannot provide. If you make an environment, okay, convenient for people who are operating, not sending, like my small office that I'm operating, the other day local government came, he said TV and television tax, and I said, okay, work from this office, we don't have TV, we don't have television, we don't have radio. The only radio I have is in my phone. They said, you want me to pay phone tax. After I left, another local government that almost share the same place, he came again. Now, state government, federal government, and everything, all those things impact the business, and you don't provide power. There's no water. We provide our own water. Well, since you guys privatize the, what is it called now? Ikeja electrics and everything. 4,000 naira lights does not take you for a whole month anymore. It doesn't. Even with epileptic situation of power in this country. So when you look at all of these things, you ask yourself, why won't people, okay? Because riding Okada is not a crime in the first place. We have to understand that. It's finding a way, how to make a livelihood for themselves. It's not a crime. You go to China, you go to all these South Asians, like what is it called? Malaysians. People are still riding bicycle and Okada. So if you cannot do this for your people, you don't have the right to come, turn around and say, stop. Because some few people are using Okada to commit crime. Hello, I have shared my experience with you on Ikeja alone when I never bought a car in this country, in this Lagos. That I went there, they took me on a private car. They took me on one chance. And the lady was in front. And I was so convenient that a lady that was in front, that I was safe. Two guys were at the back. They said they were going. I was living at Ijaya's at that time. So I said, okay, I'm going to Ijaya. I waited for bus didn't come. Late in the evening, I closed. My office was in towing. So at the end of the day, they robbed me. Can you now stop private cars in Lagos that they are using private cars to? Can you now stop Danfo to say that they are using Danfo to do that? What you need to do, since you are unable to provide better job opportunity for your people, regulate these things well. That guy that we saw, that we play here in this station on the other day, that was using a cutlass to chase the guy and collected phone. Was he not pictured? Has he been picked up?
The argument for the ban shouldn't be because they use it for nefarious activities. The argument is for safety on the roads. If you go to Igbobi Hospital, you will understand what I mean, because at Igbobi you see people with broken limbs and all that. All these are as a result of the consequences of, these Okada people plying the highway. But in support of what he's saying about regulating them, perhaps too, government can do more. Not when I say government, not federal government, not even state government, even the local government. Okay. Now every Okada rider ought to have what they call rider's card. They give you a rider's card. Well, guess what? The rider's card is like the old driver's license, just to show police and the local government that you have already paid. Mm-hmm. It costs 3,000 naira. They just tear this plastic for you, laminate it, and give to you. Nonsense. Now they should be able to verify, who you are, your address and all that. They should be able to have your BVN. So in case of crime, you can be traced. But more fundamentally is the fact that before you now get the rider's card, you should go through the rudiments of riding motorcycles in terms of the training. Traffic rules, because you see all these people, they undercut you as you're driving it. Yes, so very dangerous. You're trying to turn to the right, not knowing that one funny Okada person is coming. So whereas if they had that kind of orientation before they're giving that rider's card, that's the basis for the rider's card. But the local government see it as a money-making thing. The more rider's card you issue, the more revenue. And these are the things that they report back as internally generated revenue. It's nonsense, because that rider's card doesn't really mean anything. So until this, just like you said, regulating them, and there are several ways you can actually regulate them and bring sanity to the streets.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sangbi. Let's quickly read some messages. Obe OA from Agbara says, Sister P, ban on Okada cannot be effective without good roads on the Badagry Express Road inside Lagos and Ikeja is possible. Thank you. All right, this other one says Lagos has been excessively careless on the Okada issue. In Lagos today, some group of people are the highest. I don't want to mention tribe, please. Some group of people are the highest number of Okada riders, and most of them can become terrorists. However, there should be drivers with government permits at areas permitted by government. Crime cannot end, but can be reduced. Pastor Oloru Obinumi Ile Oluji. I hope I got that correctly. Okay, let's look at this other one and see what we got here. Okay. This one says, good afternoon. Or, if government has put things in place, there won't have been Okada and Keke from day one. Do you know how many people are graduating from university every year? You'll be shocked knowing that many graduates live on this Okada and Keke. There is no proactive measure by our leaders to do the right thing. After banning them, what will be the fate of those people on daily living in the midst of what the country is facing on criminality? Ayowole Samuel from Lagos sent that one in. All right, Dr. Maduka is here this afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Maduka. And he says, patience, our governments are insensitive to the plight of the ordinary Nigerians. Riding Okada is not a crime, as Chief of Forces said, but the government's inability to create clusters of employable entities and creating specific routes for Okada riders, just as seen in Cotonou. All right, this other one says, I am Amayi Eko from Ikeja. Nothing will replace Okada in terms of traffic. Keke has been from Express. Korope cannot replace. We are going to. I'm sorry, I don't know if this is English or it's broken. Honestly, if you send me a text in pidgin English, I might have troubles reading that. So let's look at what we're constructing. Anyways, this one says, good afternoon to you all. Please, some people are using it for private. Our government should think well. Nigeria's security are overworked and they are not enough to secure the nation. Okay.